If he's convicted, I will still vote for him because there's someone else running for office that should have been convicted a long time ago.
Welcome back to America Decides. Many Republican voters, as you saw there in key battleground states, are standing behind Trump amid his mounting legal troubles. With a hush money trial set to start in April, the presumptive Republican nominee is going to be spending a lot of time in that courtroom ahead of November. So for more on this, we have Gómez and Katrina Kaufman. Finn is here with us on set, and Katrina is outside the courthouse in New York. And of course, Major Garrett is with us as well. Finn, I want to start with you because we've been kind of talking about the politics of this. And
Sure.
we know, as we've talked about for several months now, that the court cases, play heavily into Trump's campaign. But I'm curious how this specific one may play in. How seriously are they taking this hush money payment case?
Well, actually, you talked about battleground states earlier. There was a poll that came out about a month ago, a Bloomberg poll that showed that if convicted, over 50% of voters in those respective states, we're talking about from Arizona to Wisconsin to North Carolina, Georgia, and so on, that over 50%, 53% would not vote for Trump, according to this poll, if he is convicted, and 23% of Republicans as well. The other thing is we've never been here before. This is historic. We have never had a nominee, from a major party facing criminal charges. This is historic and weird. We have never been here before. So this is something that's the big question. How will it impact his voters, his support, and those battleground states?
I mean, that's a really important point because that's speaking to what we were talking about earlier, the primary versus the general election. Because we saw in the primary over and over again, vast majorities of Republicans were saying they'd support him if convicted. Now you're in a general election climate. That's not the case necessarily.
Right. There's no strategist that Trump can turn to and say, hey, how was it handled before?
Yeah.
There is no before, Mr. President. There is no. So you are the author of your strategy.
Right.
Kind of like he was in 2016. And that, as you well know, Finn, is Trump's natural, most comfortable place. He's his key strategist. His gut instinct is what rules almost all of his political calculations.
Yeah.
And those closest to him carry out his instincts, but it's all instinctive. And that's what he's got to go on right now.
Right, that notion that in CHP that we know so well from 2016. It's like, let Trump be Trump, and right now that is their compass politically. That is what they're going on. How this plays, especially in those 7 battleground states, that is where this election will be decided in those 7 states, and how that's playing. We're seeing some voter sound, how that's impacting those voters. That's really just those are his supporters, right? If you're a soft partisan, Trump, I've been told, is big on the suburban voter, like how this, they're really going after the suburban voter. You would imagine day in and day out for weeks, being coupled on headlines with an adult film star, being reminded of these accusations that occurred back in 2016. Like it is bringing up negative stories that they don't want. The campaign does not want. How is that going to impact the voter?
Katrina, one of the many obligations you have for us, and we are indebted to you for carrying them out on such a consistent and quality basis, is keeping track of the calendar. And it is a hectic and crowded legal calendar for the former president. We're not going to impose upon you every single thing that's on that calendar, but give us a flavor of the next couple of months, if you could.
Sure. So this will be the first criminal trial to move forward against Trump. This hush money case, it is now, as of today, officially set to start on April 15th. It will end up intersecting with arguments that are going before the Supreme Court. And this is Trump's immunity appeal that's related to his D.C. election interference case. Now, the Florida classified documents case was set to start on May 20th. The hush money case will likely actually go till late May at this point. But in Florida, we're also really still waiting for a final trial date from Judge Eileen Cannon. She hasn't fully set that yet. So really, it could be a very crowded summer. There's the Florida classified documents case, the Georgia election interference case, and potentially the D.C. election interference case that all may want to try to start. But it's plausible that this hush money trial will be the only criminal prosecution that actually gets completed before the November election at this point.
And Katrina, we were talking earlier about how the strategy from Trump's legal team in most of these cases, if not all, has been to try to delay the proceedings in any way they can. Why was it not successful today?
Judge Juan Merchan seemed very frustrated today at this attempt to delay the proceeding, and not just to delay it. Trump's team was actually trying to get these charges dismissed. Essentially, the hearing was about a trove of last-minute discovery that came to light, and Trump's lawyers were saying that it was really DA Alvin Bragg's responsibility to request this evidence sooner, and that because he hadn't, this could actually be prosecutorial misconduct that was of a level that would be enough to dismiss the entire indictment. But the judge was not swayed at all by Trump's legal team's arguments today, and this trial is going to move forward as planned.
So,
in fact, he actually said that the DA's office went above and beyond in their effort to get evidence for the defense.
Sorry about that, Katrina. Finn, one of our campaign reporters, Torian Small, was in one of the battleground states, Wisconsin, talking to Trump-aligned voters about all of this. Let's take a quick listen.
They're going after this man for whatever reason they are, for trumped-up charges, when they could do the same thing to the other person. They're not doing it.
I mean, look at Biden and his son. To me, if any of that is true, there's legal issues out there on that side that are absolutely ridiculous.
That is a kind of microcosm of the Trump-supporting Republican world, that whatever the former president is alleged to have done, even if true, is either counterbalanced or less severe than the allegations which have resulted in 0 criminal charges against former President Biden and some criminal charges against Hunter Biden, being prosecuted under the leadership of the Biden Justice Department, we should note.
Right.
That is a healthy sign for Trump, at least among core Republican supporters. Is it not?
Absolutely. They're not going to erode. I mean, talking to a Trump advisor, they say just a little while ago, they say that this plays right into that narrative. You know, this is the political witch hunt. We heard the former president in New York City just say the same thing a little while ago. It's a political persecution. That plays well. That resonates well. What we don't know is that Nikki Haley voter. What we don't know, we heard Mike Pence, who just said his own vice president, tell Margaret Brennan on Face the Nation a couple weeks ago, he was not going to support his former running mate. Like, where does that voter go? Where does that traditional conservative Republican voter go? We all remember in 2022, if it's an example for this, perhaps it is, perhaps it isn't. But if we look at that Senate race, that key Senate race, where that McCain Republican voter helped the Democrat win, well, the same thing happened here in November on a macro level. I mean, that's a question that I think we all should be asking.
And as we've been talking to voters throughout this campaign, a lot of them, Republicans, have called a lot of these trials a distraction, and they're not really paying attention. The Biden theory of the case, of course, is that they are going to spend a lot of time in some ways reminding them of everything associated with Trump. So we'll see if that strategy pays off as well. Vin Gómez, thank you very much, and Katrina Kaufman in New York, thank you. We appreciate your time.